So there's so many different things to talk about, but I was at the ocean and Tony Shanahan is with me because he had to give all the charts. I'm doing three songs with an Italian band, very excellent Italian band, and he had to make the charts and make certain that my sound and my microphone was proper. And he reminded me that today was the 30th anniversary um, of not only when Tony started playing with us. Lenny had recruited him to play bass on Gone Again, which was 30 years ago, and in July. And then we played Lollapalooza on this date. And why it stuck in my mind is I hadn't performed much or hardly at all in 16 years. And, we were suddenly at Lollapalooza, a huge audience, and I was doing fine. And then I had to begin pissing in the river. And I hadn't sang Pissing in the River in, again, like maybe 16 years. And I don't know, but I just totally froze. It wasn't stage fright or anything like that. It was just the enormity, the emotional, just everything. The fact that I was even back performing, which I never expected to be performing. I had left my public life behind when I married Fred and we had our children. But when he passed away, I had to go back to work. And I don't know. I don't know exactly, just many things, understandable things. And I just stood there. And at the same time I was feeling frozen, I could feel an energy. Let me see if I'm looking this way. It would have been to my left. I could feel, and I looked over and I saw this boy sort of at the edge of the stage. And I saw him in the distance. It was a big stage. And I could see he was in my corner, but he was, trying to send me all the energy he could. I mean, I could feel him just, trying to, help me, do the song, start singing. And I felt it so strongly, and I just was sort of flooded with his belief and empathy, and I sang the song, and I'm sure it was fine. After the concert, we had to get in golf carts to go back to our trailers, and the boy got in one of the carts, and he seemed like a boy. He was a young fella. And when I looked at him, he looked very familiar. And then I was introduced to him, and it was Jeff Buckley. And I realized he looked familiar because he looked quite a bit like his father, and who I had listened to so much when I was young. And so I thanked him for his encouragement, and I asked him if he wanted to come to our recordings. We were recording Gone Again at Electric Lady, and eventually asked him to do a vocal on Southern Cross. I heard a voice, like I wanted an angelic voice singing, "Oh, live or fly." And he did. So beautiful. And he played on some other things. He played the Egyptian Esserage on Fireflies and some acoustic guitar. And he was such a gifted, empathetic person. And I counseled him to please be careful in life. And I said, it was such a loss. Your father was so great, and you're so great, and we need voices like yours. And so I was, of course, deeply saddened at his, at his death. And but I just thought it was interesting because Tony and I were talking about it. I could still feel, feeling someone. Well, you feel as a performer, you feel the people rooting. Sometimes when I'm having trouble, or I lose energy, or I forget something, I can always feel that positive energy, that supportive energy. But in this case, it was so deeply condensed, and it had such impact, and it was such a dramatic moment. So 30 years later, thank you, Jeff. And we all miss you.